Just having a look at ATQ, Atomic Resources. This is pretty much all I've got on it, and we've drawn a Andrews pitchfork in here from the highs and the lows, and that's our midline along there. We see had a little bit of bleed out around here and also some up at the top. Okay, I've also put in another pitchfork for this bit of a parabolic run up that it's had. Whether it's going to pay much heed to it, I don't know. It's as you can see in the past, it's repeated this range here from there to there, okay, and pretty much repeated the same range again. So it does like going for big trots, this one. It's basically repeated the range plus some more. So yeah, it must have been pretty big news to get it going like that. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit closer. Before we do, this is the overall fib set here, okay, from basically its low to its high, and this is a level here, which is around about 38 cents. It may come back to retest, okay, and then you could go on from there, basically, is what I'd be thinking. But let's just zoom in a little bit, and we can basically see these couple of candles up here have left a gap. Okay, so if it does come back, and with the MAs about to cross down here, once again, this could just be a sideways movement. Okay, the 30-day moving average is here. Until it starts to turn down, I expect it to bounce off of it. It may go through it, but then the next couple of days it might come back up through it again. That's what I tend to be thinking. Just looking at the indicators on it, MACD is just starting to roll over. The SCOF is still on the way up. We've had a short exit, okay, and the DEMA is pointing down along with the RSI. I'll just quickly do the naughty thing and bring up the weekly. Okay, weekly indicators are rolling over as well, okay, on the MACD and the DEMA, but the DEMA sort of looks, it's trying to straighten out a little bit here, and it looks like a little short entry for a long, okay, but DEMA's sitting up about 70, and that's pretty high for a DEMA, okay, so it could just run along the 70, okay, but yeah, RSI is still kicking up on the weekly as well. Let's have a look at the weekly chart itself. Okay, a candle is, you know, basically a candle sandwich here. It's gone back to the 7 period. Okay, our little standard error band, okay, is starting to turn here. Okay, and that's usually what they do, but this one starting to turn here, we could still open up in these ranges here around the 40 cents and go higher, and then this standard error would straighten out. But to be a bit of an each way bet, I'd be saying 38 is probably the low, and it could go again from here, but it'd need to absorb some time, so it could be a sideways movement here for a while. Just let the indicators catch up. There's something else I'd be looking at, but I'd be bearing in mind this 38 cent level, and I might even be using that, you know, just as a top-up point or a stop loss. It'd be something to be thinking about. This is AWE for me mate Tots. Okay, what I've done is I've just drawn a trend line along here, okay, and that seems to be the trend line it's using. I've also made a parallel line to that, okay, which is here. Okay, and if we move it up and down those highs along here, and it's just bled through that one a little bit, it'll also picked up our bottom here, okay, and it's picked up our top here. So at the moment I'd be tending to think, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more, this too is also the overall quadrants and fibs, okay, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more on this, because this is the daily chart as well. And you can see we have a higher gap, okay, around that 225-ish sort of a place. I haven't measured it accurately, but we can see that it's basically working this little channel here at the moment, and On the daily chart, the interesting thing to me were the candles, and what we can see here is we had our little cross, and then we had a hanged man, and we've had two hanged men in a row. So daily on candle wise, I'd either be expecting it to be forming like a small pennant here, because the rejection from the lows is still quite good, okay, or I'd expect it to come off here and probably revisit down to the 170 odd level, where the other MAs are at the moment. The other thing too with the daily chart, the indicators here are trying to roll over. So, and even the DEMA is rolling over. There's been a short exit, okay, put in place. How far it's going to come back, like I said, I'm not quite sure, but trip to the other MAs would probably be close. The DEMA had got quite high here too at 65. It has been up into the 70s before. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a quick look at the weekly, and we find our weekly indicators are still on the up. So the long-term trend is still up, and there's a short entry for a long on the weekly chart. And the weekly volumes are on the build up as well. MACD still hasn't rolled over, okay, on the weekly at the moment. In SCOF we're still heading up here as well. Now also on the weekly, our MAs are starting to, our 7 and 14 periods are starting to head up, and yeah, so I think it might just do a little bit of sideways for a little trick here, sideways to a small down, before it decides it wants to go and retest that 179, 180 level of the old 61.8% fib, is what I tend to be thinking there. So overall, the longer term trend I think is still up, but it just really needs to break these levels here. And whether it's just going to stuff around here for a week or two doing it, this is what we'll have to find out. That's about me on that one. This is AZZ for my old mate Burnett, on day trading thread. Atq Energy. The thing that this is about as much as I've got on this stock. The thing to look at, it's a pretty wild rider, up and down. Okay, so it's pretty much a trader's delight, one would be sitting there looking at. The thing that concerns if you're a longer term shareholder of the stock is the highs, all decreasing basically all the time. So over its overall chart, okay, so these are our fib levels here, and these are some locals, so we'll just zoom in a little bit closer and see what's happening. But as you do follow the stock and follow the purple line, and what you'll see is it basically wants to turn down again. So one would be thinking that this stock would longer term still be trending down, is what I'd be thinking. But if we zoom in closer to the daily, this is the daily chart here, you can see it's at a point here where it really needs to turn and burn, okay? It had a perfect little candle bottom here, okay? This is quite a new Andrews pitchfork, so whether it has much relevance, we'll find out soon. But from here, if it continues this up here at the moment, these MAs are all going to turn around and swing back up, okay, and then probably cross back up and retest the 200 up here to around about the 60 cents level, and it really needs to get through this 55, okay. It has had some problems here in the past, okay, so it really needs to get through 55 is what I'd be looking at. And longer term, the stock is still not what I call impressing me as to be going up. Let's just have a look at the indicators. They're all ready to turn and go, okay, everything here on the daily, and they do have quite a way to go. So it could do a good run up into the 60 there, like I was just talking about. Okay, so I'd be thinking about that.